Well, hello to you all freedom-loving patriots from all over the world. Welcome to 2CTV. After a long day in court with Tommy Robinson, I'm officially back at the 2CTV Towers, which is my home studio. First things first, happy Passover to all our Jewish viewers. And let's not forget, tomorrow, it's St. George's Day. We have a special day and programs prepared for you guys. Of course, I'm going to have to go back to court to get the verdict for the Tommy Robinson case. And then we're going to go to central London, see what's going on. See how the Metropolitan Police are going to be arresting every single one of us for believing in the English flag. But speaking of patriots, speaking of nationalism and the threats to it, let's talk about what's been going on in the United States of America. Or this United States at this point, a divided nation. New York. Oh yes, let's talk about the East Coast. Over the last couple of days, we have talked about Columbia University. Things are escalating. It is not just a set of protests. These are, well, not just even riots. It's an Occupy movement. I know. It's like deja vu. It's like 2011 all over again, but instead of occupying the Wall Street, they're occupying universities. So, the so-called Palestinian supporters, they were basically a bunch of far-left activists with Antifa, as well as the Islamists getting together hand in hand. They've been causing chaos. The situation is getting worse for Jewish students, as well as Jewish lecturers who are based at the Columbia University in New York. We have some update, and there's another video I'm going to do later on or tomorrow, which will be about one of the lecturers, one of the professors at this university, who is also getting targeted because he decided to fight back. But we have some new videos that's come out of New York. Now, if you think things are bad in London, with all the protests happening every Saturday, from the river to the sea, they don't know what river or sea, and all the usual nonsense, the situation in America is on a whole new level. Because these people are militant. The far left, for example, in America, are much more violent than here. The Islamists in America take too much liberty because they're looking at the far left, saying, well, if they can do this, we can do it too. Physical violence aside, even the chance, and what the political left would call it, actual hate speech. Like, I know for the progressive left, everything is hate speech, but this is actually hate speech. They're not just targeting Israel or the Israeli government or Prime Minister Netanyahu or Zionists. They're targeting every single Jew. Every single person who looks like a Jew, they're coming for them. It's 1930s all over again. Humanity repeats the same mistake. So let's quickly go to the first video where they're telling the Jews to go back to Europe, and they call them uncultured. They don't know anything about history, do they? It's absolutely mental. Let's go to the first one.
You have a culture. You be creative. All you do is colonize. That's it. Who was here first? We were here first. Fuck you!
Stop killing children! Public safety? We're not on. يا حبيب اضرب اضرب تلابيب يا حماس يا حبيب اضرب اضرب تلابيب يا حماس يا حبيب.
Ever since
They are literally supporting Hamas. Like, literally promoting it. Now, at least in London, they try to hide it every now and then, right? Not in New York. It's insane. So, a couple of issues. Firstly, go back to Poland. Well, the last time they were in Poland, you weren't even happy when they were in Poland. That's a different problem. They call them colonizers, right? The Jews in Israel. And then they say they have no culture. Okay, history lesson 101. Throughout history, since ancient times, the whole point of the word colonizing, which was successful conquests done by nations. You were talking about a time when you either had empires or you had nations that wanted to be empires. That was the norm. Get used to it. Things have changed, obviously. And in order to be a successful colonizer or successfully conquest, you need to have a few things. Obviously, a successful army, organized, which comes with discipline and tradition and customs. And, go back to it, culture. And of course, a successful, stable financial system and everything else, and good governance. You need to have the full package in order for you to be able to colonize. So you need to be cultured enough to be able to colonize. Why do you think Central African nations were not able to colonize France or Britain back in the day? Well, it's happening now. It's a whole different problem, by the way. There was a reason. You need to have strong foundation as a nation first in order to be able to colonize other countries. You can't call people uncultured and a colonizer at the same time. It's an oxymoron. Let's go to the next video. The whole thing is so ludicrous. The next clip that we have, again, this is just where it gets completely crazy because they get violent as usual. And anybody that looks Jewish, by the way. So it's not just about the kippah. Like anything that person walks like a Jew, let's go after him. And of course, they're flying the Palestinian flags left, right, and center without even knowing the history of that fake flag that was basically stolen from Jordan.
Go back to Poland!
Oh my God!
Fuck you!
Help!
Go back to Belarus!
Go back in, John, go back in.
Go back to Belarus!
Guys, go back in, go back in.
Are you okay?
That's why I'm local,
Where's the
bro.
police? We need the police.
Go on the streets, let's go out to the police. There's like 400 guys in riot.
Go back to Poland. Who said that?
Go back to Poland!
That's a terrible thing to say.
What is the obsession with Poland? They keep saying go back to Poland. As I said, they weren't even happy 100 years ago when the Jews were in Poland. Where do they go? You don't want them in Europe. You don't want them in the Middle East. You don't want them in America. We know what they want. Because they don't want them to exist in the first place. This is just toxic poison that's been going around. And it's not just about anti-Semitism, by the way. These are just the first targets. The Jews are just the first target. They will come for us next. And everybody else. Christians obviously are also being attacked. Look at Nigeria. Look at the rest of the world in general. But the Jews are the first frontier. And Israel. That's the whole point of it. Now, we were able to prevent it almost 100 years ago, 80 years ago, by stopping the National Socialists. But if they were completely successful, if they had completely eliminated anybody who was Jewish, do you think they would have stopped there? And I'm not just talking about National Socialists, I'm just talking about the wide poison that is basically a combination of Marxists, the self-hating nutters, and all the others who basically hate the Western civilization, our Western values. That's why they want to go with the Jews first, and then they're going to come for their... And they think they can be allies with Islamists. Well, the Islamists are going to come for you if you allow them. Think before you support the enemy of an enemy. So, let's go to the next video to see what this one is.
Stop killing children. Public safety? Wait, no, I'm scared.
Go back in, go back in. Let's go.
Still Poland. On the plus side, at least they're saying just go back to Poland rather than Austria. You know what I would have done? There is a problem, by the way. Because when you look at the type of people who are essentially creating this atmosphere, and we know, by the way, despite all the jokes, the whole point of Poland is supposed to be the gas chambers. That's the whole point. They're not really talking about go live in Poland. They're talking about what happened 80 years ago. But creating this atmosphere where the education system is going down in America, in Britain, in Canada, all our countries. And then parenthood. Parents are becoming bad. Because, well, firstly, we don't even have a good success rate when it comes to marriages anymore in the West. And the younger people, they're not really even thinking about getting married. So divorces are going up, marriages are coming down, babies are coming down. But there are, of course, other people who are coming to the West and have a lot of babies and forced marriages. They don't do divorces. So when you look at the stats, they're like, well, it hasn't really changed. Well, it's because the other people replaced the original people who used to just get married and have babies. If you remove people from the Middle East and North Africa, from America, from Britain, then you can look at the actual stats of marriage, divorces, and everything else. All this has created a bunch of spoiled idiots who didn't have good fathers, good mothers, or they spoil them completely. Basically, that's also still bad parenting. And they go to school, they become dependent on the teacher brainwashing them. And of course, our schools have been infiltrated. And then they get up, they grow up, they are promoting ideas to create bigger government. And they have all these ideas, universal basic income, basically to create dependency. Everybody will be dependent on the state. This is communism through the back door. It's not necessarily the exact same thing as Marxism or communism, but it's basically about dependency and the state becoming the provider. This is where we are. The next video is even more disgusting. It's a short clip, but it is all the updates been coming out over the last day or two about... this is exactly what they did, by the way, in Germany. They are creating a human chain or wall as students to block the entry of the Jews in terms of the campus, Columbia University in New York. This is not even a joke. By the way, the BLM movement did the same thing with white people. Most of these people you are seeing, all these so-called white people in these protests, they are the same people. They just changed the flags and banners. They're the same people who, a few months ago, they were doing Extinction Rebellion. They're the same people a couple of years ago, they were doing BLM. They're the same people, a couple of years back, they were doing the original Antifa. They're the same people who, a few years back, they were doing Occupy movement, Wall Street Occupy movement nonsense. And, of course, in the City of London. It's the same type of people. They just change the banner and they go and change the cause. They are professional activists, essentially. Let's go to this video of the human wall or whatever, human chain.
What does the West give you, like, as far as no authority?
Apparently that's normal. This is America. Land of the free. And brave. The only bravery we're saying is from the fascists, from the authoritarians, going after Christians and Jews. In the name of liberalism. Do you know who warned us about this? Ronald Reagan. He did warn us, saying the next tyranny on authoritarianism is going to come from liberalism. And liberals, basically, because they're not actually liberals. It's happening. Literally happening. Let's go to some super chats first. Aaron, thank you so much, saying revoke their qualifications and bank accounts. But the thing is, this is exactly what they want, because they could use the mechanism. If you create authoritarianism in response, then they'll take over and use the mechanism against you. It's the same thing that when the liberals, created hate speech laws in this country, in Britain, because they wanted to be nice, right? And then the left took over, and now they're using hate speech laws to destroy free speech. If you create mechanisms, of course they're going to take over and use it against you. They're going to come back. I mean, they're already controlling our bank accounts, trying to cancel bank accounts. Imagine if you create a mechanism. They're just going to completely cancel all of us. Mustard says, you look smart in a suit. Maya for Bond. Violet, thank you very much for your support. And Mustard again saying, I am Polish in ancestry. And therefore my family assimilated, and I consider myself not Polish, but Dutch. But I do understand Polish thinking. I saw it in my family. They do not give in to bullies. You've seen the pictures, right, from Poland, the protests, saying Mohammed is not welcome. They're very straightforward when it comes to their rhetoric in Poland against Islamism. Aaron says the videos of the KGB. Yes, actually, if you haven't seen that, it's still on YouTube, the KGB defector. A chilling warning to the West should have been made mandatory watching in every level of education. They had a plan. Even if the Soviet Union collapses, their poison is still going to be spreading around. And it's happening, literally. And of course, the psyche of the Soviet Union was passed on to the Islamic Republic of Iran and an element of the CCP, obviously. Not the whole of CCP, but an element of it. In a more covert way. Super sticker from Elena, thank you very much. Let's go to some normal chats as well. Anthony says that they talk about apartheid and colonizers, and then they flee to another country and colonize it. Take all the freedoms in that country and then bring their old SPS with them. But this is the whole point, by the way. Apparently, it's okay to be nationalists if you're a Palestinian. It's okay to have a country that is just your people if you're just talking about Palestine. The rest of us, we have to be welcoming. We have to allow in everybody. Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, and Buddhists and all that, right? But in Palestine, you're allowed to just be nationalists. Just Arab Palestinian Muslims. Then there's also the other issue. Colonizing is bad, right? Because they always talk about empires being bad. But it's okay for them to colonize other countries. It's a bit of an issue. Bit of a problem. I think Judith didn't get my joke, by the way. So Maya, no, Austria is no longer worse than Poland, really not. Jews are protected. I'm talking about early 1930s, when the original supporters, obviously after Munich, they created the biggest hub of the National Socialists in Austria to back the German National Socialists. I'm not talking about 2024. Austria is fine. Fine. I mean, it's a nice country. I just don't trust any of the governments. Barry says, Maya, this shows the gullibility of the youth in America and the indoctrination, the corruption in the universities. But I'm not surprised when you have the likes of Ilhan Omar peddling this. I know. The squad. I mean, how is that even normal right now? We complain about some politicians in Britain, Labour politicians, right? But it's a whole different system here. You could have backbenchers who are just nutters. But in America, if you create representatives and senators, they have power. They have actual influence. They're like mini prime ministers in their own areas. Obviously, governors are they're kind of essentially the leaders of the states, but senators and even representatives have influence compared to backbenchers. Backbench MPs in Parliament in the UK, it's not really the same. It's dangerous. Look at AOC, look at Ilhan Omar. Absolutely dangerous, and you wonder why this is happening. Annette is also right about Biden. The tool, aka Biden, has sanctioned Israel. Well, one of the, they're going to be one of the units of IDF, but yep, same thing. Sanctioned Israel, and that is a green flag to the Islamists to attack them. Absolutely disgusting. Exactly, you're encouraging bad behavior, Sleepy Joe. This is the point. And nobody from the White House have come out to condemn the violence. This is the issue. Now, we keep, again, complaining about Rishi Sunak and the British government, and yeah, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to those idiots. But the centralized government, federal government in the United States, they're completely quiet about all this. And that is a concern. Just look at the press conferences every day in the White House. They completely try to spin the whole thing and deflect and not answer questions on behalf of the president. Anyway, just a reminder that Palestine doesn't exist. From the river to the sea, Palestine will never... Wow, I forgot what the ending was. What was it? From the river to the sea, Palestine was never... I don't know. I forgot. There was a jokey version of it. God, I'm absolutely shattered, by the way. I was in court, obviously, all day. Completely dead. And tomorrow's going to be a long day as well. We're going to go back to court with Tommy. And then we're going to go to St. George's Day celebrations. I might be speaking, apparently. But I'll also be filming for you guys, reporting there as well. It's going to be a long day. It's wrong. Look at the map. Jews and Christians want this tiny strip of land. Meanwhile, Islam is enormous, has all the oil. But they just can't stop. Why? Shame it has to be war. Who's they? Because if it's the Islamists, it makes sense why they don't stop, because the whole point of the religion and the ideology is to spread it around the world. It's all about expansion. That's why the population is also going up around the world. Mustard says, claim the Maya as a true European, a true master of radical thought. How dare you call me European? I am a Brit. British. Don't recognize Europe. No, I'm kidding. No, thank you. I mean, most of the reason is again, my mother obviously had a massive influence on my upbringing, and her obsession with literature from obviously England, but of course even in Europe, and medieval times, and even just before that, is the reason that I think the education system is going down, because we're not really teaching the values. You know, we're teaching basic history, like in school, saying, oh, Richard III, Henry VIII, this happened, William the Bastard came, or the Conqueror, but I call him Bastard because he was. But we're not actually teaching the values, or especially when it comes to Christianity and Christian art and everything else. And you wonder why they don't know anything. But of course, I do care about these things, because you have to know where you come from. Not literally, because obviously I don't come from Europe, but as humanity, you need to know where, as humans, where you came from 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, in order to know where you're going as a human race. What is this? Someone's disappointed. Liz is disappointed. I am disappointed. You are now pandering to the far right. I guess that is more profitable. Cancelling my membership. How? Okay, in case you don't know, I don't know where Liz is from, but I'm guessing you're not from Britain, because in Britain we don't have far right. There's like 6 of them, and they also hate me. Literally, we had a big fight. Was it a few weeks ago, with the actual far right, or more far righty? Like, well, by far right, I mean actually ethno-white nationalist, not someone who just wants to be patriotic and close the borders. They don't like me. Of course they don't like me. Look at my face. And they attacked me and Tommy Robinson, both of us, because apparently we're too soft. Because we're not just promoting the white skin color. So I'm not really sure what Liz is drinking tonight, but I need some of that, because clearly she's having fun. No, we don't do far right. Firstly, in this country, let alone on my channel. We're not far right. We're simply been right so far. And it's absolutely insane, by the way, because it's the same thing that, for example, Donald Trump supporters have been told by the GOP type, saying, well, if you support Trump, you're far right. The guy was a liberal New Yorker who simply realized that the middle America and people in the actual real parts of America are telling the truth. And Trump, because he was a liberal New Yorker and a businessman, he was able to see both sides. And that really helped him. But of course, the GOP types are going to go out and say, well, if you support Trump, you're basically a Nazi. How? It makes no sense. There are actual far-right people, again, not in Britain, there's like 6 of them, but there are in America, in Germany, a lot in Italy, as in what ethno-white nationalist types. But really? What? How am I pandering to the far right? What is a far right? What is a woman? Also, this video is simply about the Jews. When did the Jews become far right? Kai is definitely late to the live stream. Are you going to St. George's Day tomorrow? Yes, we already talked about that. Yeah, if you join us late, yeah, so I'm going to be there tomorrow, of course. It's going to be, I don't think there'll be counter-protesters, by the way. They're just going to they're going to go hide. But yeah, I'll be there. They want me to speak a little bit as well, but I'll be also filming for you guys. First, we have to do the court case with Tommy, then we're going to go. Far right. Yeah, far right would be National Front and the BNP. Yeah, the traditional version of far right, you know, because the words have been thrown out so much it doesn't mean anything anymore. But the actual ethno-white nationalist sort of types, so anti-establishment, they're basically left-wing. They go around. BNP is a good example. Nick Griffin is so far right that he supports the Islamists. He literally supports... he hates the Jews so much. Basically, the trick is, if they hate the Jews, that's where it goes a little bit crazy. Like irrationally hating the Jews for no reason. Like, I just don't like the Jews or Christians. Like, the BNP was supposed to be so nationalist, and that means against any threat that includes Islamism. But no, Nick Griffin's now going around. Oh, by the way, if you're watching from abroad, BNP is British National Party, which doesn't really exist anymore. And they're literally supporting Hamas. Just because just to oppose the Jews in Israel. Fascinating, right? This is what we're dealing with. I miss super chats. What is going on? Have I? Oh. Mustard is back. Rational thoughts, not radical thoughts. Oh, that makes more sense, by the way. I consider you European, Maya. I am so sorry for my Europe for Europeans message from the other day. By Europeans, I mean you as well. No, I appreciate this. No, I understand it. I get it now. Don't worry about it, Mustard. Also, change your name. I can't call you Mustard. It's weird. Don't change it. It's good, actually. Are we allowed to celebrate St. George's Day? Thought it was banned. No, they can't ban St. George's Day. Imagine if they banned St. George's Day. So a couple of days ago, the weekend, Sadiq Khan actually organized St. George's Day thingy in Trafalgar Square. I was just walking past and I noticed there's because for those who are familiar with Trafalgar Square in central London, you know, get that little middle bit. If there's an event or some sort of celebrations, they kind of put fences around it and you have to go through security. And usually they're full of like different sort of cultural celebrations from the Hindus to the Muslims and everything, right? Every few months. Then I was walking around like, oh, I can see a big banner with the St. George's. Like, that's interesting. But then I saw more banners alongside the St. George's England flag that said Mayor of London, Mayor of London, Mayor of London. And I realized, I know exactly what he's doing. The elections are coming up. Of course, the London mayor election is coming up. He's doing it as a gimmick. And I can assure you, I can confirm that it was a gimmick because I went inside. This was an area designated for St. George's Day, right? Now, even if you're not English, you have your own national days in your own countries. You can imagine what your national day was supposed to be. You know, in terms of it's like a Christmas market, but for your national day. You get all these stalls, all this food called, whatever, the vans. So you would think that everything has to be related to England or the heritage. They literally had German food, German doner kebab, which is, by the way, German doner kebab is Turkish, but Germany's made it different. What else did they have? They had Italian food. There was no like pie and mash. There was no beef Wellington. There was no even like fish and chips. Even though I was told recently the fish and chips is also Israeli apparently. But nothing. It was a gimmick. And it wasn't even busy because nobody knew about it. People just went past it. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. It was just a gimmick so that the Mayor of London could take pictures, put it on this website, say, look, I did St. George's Day. I'm such a patriot. Just because the election is coming up. Sad IQ Khan. What is going on? Manisha says, sorry I'm late. I was listening to a video of Winston Churchill and his defense of Britain. Well, you're a bit late to Churchill's speeches. Yeah, it's always good to every now and then listen to Winnie. He was very, very good. To be fair, there's a couple of videos on YouTube from Sir Winston. Even his political broadcast videos for like election stuff. It was inspiring. That was when political leaders were actually leaders. Not like now. It's a bit of a mess. I would rather have even a left-wing leader that I could admire saying, I respect your values at least. Like, again, people like Clement Attlee. I would disagree with almost all the policies he did in the 50s, 40s. But he was still more nationalist and patriot than all these other nutters, even the so-called Tories. Kathleen Wheeler says, you are not far right. You are all for the British people and our rights. Not like the ethnic groups and that think they are in charge of our country. With you 100%, this is our country. But the whole point of TCTV as a platform is also, of course, to focus on this beautiful flag and the bulldog. But I support all freedom fighters around the world. Anybody who believes in life and freedom, especially life over death and destruction. That's why I supported the Argentinians when they backed Milei. You know, the whole point of us even supporting the Jews in Israel is supposed to be for this, or the Iranians fighting against the Islamic occupiers. Anybody who believes in life and freedom, but of course my priority on a personal level is to protect this country and this island. But I'm still here to promote your freedoms wherever you are watching this, whether you're in Australia or Japan or Canada. Good luck in Canada, by the way. Actually, Canadians have a chance now. The Canadian Tories are coming up. Much better than the British Tories. Ugh. PC says, why was Trafalgar Square closed for Eid on Saturday? Because of the Mayor of London. It closed, I think you mean. Yeah, closed, yeah. This Saturday. Not this Saturday. Although I was there yesterday. So I don't know about this. No, because Eid was last week. Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. It's the Mayor of London. He can do whatever he wants, apparently, these days. Right. Kai says, Maya, good on you for supporting Tommy with his court case tomorrow. It's just super nonsense that the lawmakers, law enforcement, act radically against a person like Tommy, who's done nothing wrong. I mean, he's been naughty in the past, but this time he's done nothing wrong, genuinely. Even he would admit he's done naughty things in the past. Not now. Belinda says, looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully get to say hello, Maya. It should be a great day. Absolutely. I don't know how the weather is going to be in London. Hopefully it's going to be all right. It is London. It could be anything. This morning was warm. I didn't wear an actual coat. Then it got to 1 p.m. and it was freezing. Nothing makes sense in London. Literally. I get it that it could rain any moment. That makes sense. But temperature at 9 a.m. is warmer than 1 p.m. That is not logical. Greta Thunberg was right. Greta Thunberg was never right. Final super chat, MCV saying, if these students and people get their way, the US stops supporting Israel. True. God help the rest of the world. I mean, even right now, the US government is not really supporting Israel anyway. It's the same thing we had under Obama. It's the same problem. Don't get me started. But hopefully we're going to have Uncle Donald coming back very soon. And we will be, TCTV will be in America reporting. By the way, look at us. 464,000. It keeps going up by the minute. Yeah, we were on 461,000 yesterday. Yesterday morning. It's happening, guys. We're getting close to 500,000 very, very quickly. Thank you so much, by the way, for all the super chats and all the support. You've been watching 2CTV. I'm Maya TC, and we are the media.